we need to discuss about control statements. So we can also call these control statements as flow control. So why we are calling them as flow control, and what is the purpose of control statements? What, in which way they will help us? All these things are what we need to understand about control statements. Now, talking about what we do inside Java program, what we do inside a Java program, what are we trying to do? What we do inside a Java program, basically, what? So we have written so many programs, right? So we have written a couple of programs. So what did we write there? So basically, in the initial days, I told you what is a program, what is a software, what is a program, what will be there inside the program, right? Generally, what we do, we write statements, right? We write statements. So how many statements can we write? How many statements can we write inside a Java program? Is there any limit or there is no limit? So we can write any number of programs, sorry, any number of statements. There is no limit, right? So inside the Java program, we write statements. So how many statements can we write? We can write any number of statements, right? So now when we write statements inside a Java program, the execution of these statements, how it is going to happen? How is the execution is happening? How is the execution of the statements are happening? So they all, sorry, it executes in sequential order. Okay. It executes in sequence order. What is sequence order means? Line by line from top to bottom. So the execution of a Java program, how it is going to happen? It executes every statement in a sequence order from top to bottom. Sequence order is nothing but from line by line, top to bottom, it is going to execute. Okay, so this is the basic execution order of a Java program. But in a default way. So if you give a Java program and if you have written some statements inside it, and if you ask JVM to execute it, it goes, identifies the class and looks for the main method. And inside the main method, you might have written so many statements. So from beginning, from top to bottom, it will execute every line, okay, every statement line by line from top to bottom in a default. That is a default way of execution of a Java program. Now, if we want to control it, okay, now if you want to control the execution of these statements in a random order or in a way which we wanted to execute them. So you want to basically what? You wanted to control the default execution of execution order of a Java program. So if you want to what? If you want to control the default execution order of a Java program, then we need to go for control statements. What is it? If we want to execute Java programs randomly according to the requirement, according to our requirement. Then we use what? Then we have to use control statements. So when we do use control statements, then we need to use control statements. Understood? What are control statements? So there is a default execution order of a Java program, and we don't want the default order. We want that to execute randomly in our based upon our requirement. In such cases, we need to go for control statements. Now, these control statements are categorized into some categories. What are they? How many types they are divided into? They are basically three types of control statements. Okay, what is that? In Java, we have three types of control statements. Okay, in Java, we have how many control statements? Three. What are they? One is conditional statements. What is it? The first one is, we call it as conditional statements. What are conditional statements? We'll try to understand that later. Now, the second thing we have is iterative statements. And thirdly, we have transferring statements. Okay, what we have? Transfer statements. So these are the three different types of statements that we have under control statements, through which we will be able to make our program, a Java program, to execute based upon our requirement, randomly based upon our requirement. Now, trying to understand what is conditional statement. Okay, so what are conditional statements? What are conditional statements? Okay, so conditional statements are the control statements which are used to execute group of statements. Okay, if you have group of statements and if you want to execute them based upon a condition or a value, you have a value or you have a condition, and based upon a condition, you want some group of statements to get executed. Okay, so then we have to go for control statements. What is it? If we want to control statements, if you want to control the statements what we have written. Okay, so we write group of statements. So we want them to be executed based upon some condition. So what is this? If you want to control statements which are used to execute, group of statements. Okay, group of statements. So I have group of statements, and these statements should what? Should execute based on what? Based on condition or a value. Okay, or a value in Java. Then we need to use what? We need to use condition statements. So we want to control statements which are used to execute group of statements based on condition or value in Java. So we call them as what? Control statements. So how many keywords are provided to perform this activity? Okay, so there are two keywords which are provided to perform this. So totally there are two categories here under conditional statements. So basically we have two statements. Okay, that's two statements will be able to perform this activity for us. What is the first one? We have if and we have else. Okay, if else. These are two keywords here, which both helps us in executing a program based on the condition. Okay, what else we have? We have something called as switch case. Okay, so we have switch and case, if else. So these are the two statements we have under condition statements. So when we have to go for condition statements, if we have group of statements which has to be executed based on a condition, then we need to go for what? Then we need to go for conditional statements. Now, if else will execute a group of statements based on what? Based on condition. Okay, this will execute group of statements based on condition, whereas switch case executes group of statements based on value. Okay, so now let's try to understand how the first one works. If else, how it will work. Okay, now go for if else. Okay. So this condition statements used to execute group of statements based on what? Given condition. Okay. Based on given condition, it executes group of statements. Okay. Now, what is the syntax? So you understood what is the purpose of this. Now I have a condition. Based on that conditions, there are group of statements. I want to execute them. So you know what is a if, where to use this if else, right? Now, what is the syntax to use it? So now you understood the purpose. Now you should know how to use it. So for knowing how to use it, we need to understand what the syntax, nothing but the rule of using it. So what is the syntax? Is nothing but you need to use the keyword called as if. If is a what here? If is a keyword. So you need to use a keyword called as if and open the parenthesis. Okay. And close the parenthesis. Inside this, you need to write your condition. And we know how to write conditions, right? So for writing conditions, what are the operators that we can use for writing conditions? Can anyone tell me what are the operators that we can use for writing conditions? Which operators are useful for writing conditions? Anyone, can you tell me? Don't type in the chat. If you can answer, try to answer with your mic. Anyone? Can anyone tell me? What are the operators that helps us in writing a condition? So we have seen so many operators, right? Logical, assignment, relational, uh, bitwise, right? We have seen so many types of operators. Among those operators, can anyone tell me which is the operator which helps us in writing a condition? Can
If
anyone?
else,
Sorry?
if condition, if else.
Yes, if else is fine. Now I'm asking for if will take a condition. Now, if is for if you need to pass a condition.
Relational operator.
What is that? Relational operators. Yes, you're
Relational operator.
right. That is correct. So relational operators are comparison operators. That is having other name, which is comparison operators. Those are the operators which we can use for writing conditions. Now, we came across operators, right? So now we understood the operators where they are getting used now. Then which operator is getting used to write the conditions? Relational operators. Using the relational operators, we will be able to write the conditions. Now, once you give the condition, so this is syntax. You have to open a floor bracket. Okay. And you can put your statements here. Okay. So right now I have one statement and after that, I have else and I have some more statements inside the else. Okay. So this is the basic syntax or structure, how we need to use if else. Okay. So this is how we will be using the if else condition. Okay. So if else statement should be used in this way. You need to write if keyword. You need to do what? You need to write the if keyword and open the parenthesis. Inside that, you have to write the condition using your relational operators. And you put the statements which has to be executed based upon this condition. If this condition is true, then if you want this statement to be executed, okay, or based on this condition, you don't these statements to be executed. You want the what are the statements that are there in else condition? If you want them to be executed, so that will be decided. Okay, by giving what are the condition that you are writing based on the relational operators, using the relational operators. Based on that, that will be decided whether the statements which are in the if has to be executed or it has to execute in the else section. Okay, so this is how generally the if else will work. Okay, so if condition, when it will work, when does if condition will work? If condition is true. So the statement, if condition is true, then what happens? Then it will execute statement one. Understood, right? So when statement one will be executed, so when this will get executed is nothing but when your condition is true. If your condition is true, okay, then this block gets executed. Okay. If condition is true, then it will execute statement 1. Okay. It will execute statement 1. Otherwise, what it will do? Otherwise, it will execute statement 2, which is in else condition. Okay, which is in else block. Which is in else block. Okay. So anything started with this and closed with this. Okay, we call it as a block. Okay, when I'm using a term called as block, understand that there is some open flower bucket and closed flower bucket. Between that, if you write, we can treat that as a block. Okay, so what it is, if condition is true, then it will execute statement 1. Otherwise, it will execute what? Statement 2. So if condition is false, then instead of executing the statements which are there inside the if, it will go to else and it executes the statements which are there in the else block. Okay. Now, with this knowledge, let's try to write a program. Okay, let's try to write a demo program of how to use this particular if condition. Okay, so let's write a program to demo on if else. Okay, so for which I'm taking a class. Okay, and I wanted to name this class as if demo. Okay, so what I want this class to do, what this class has to do, what is the requirement that I am taking to perform here is nothing but I wanted to print, which is a big number. Okay, I wanted to print, which is a big number. Okay, now what I will do is I'll write a condition here. So for which what I'm doing inside this class, I'm trying to write. Okay, firstly, I'm trying to take a main method. Okay, because the execution happens for a main method, right? So how to write it? Public static void main method, which is taking a string array as arguments. So basically what I'm doing here, I wanted to check, I will give you two numbers. Okay. So those two numbers will be stored inside a variable. Now, based on those variables, what I will decide is I'll write a condition and I will decide which one is bigger. So I want to know which condition, which one is bigger now. So for which I'm taking a int of a comma b. So what I'm doing here, I'm doing variable declaration. This part is called as what? This part is called as variable declaration. Okay, so I have declared what? I have declared a variable and the names of those variables are A and B. So now A is given with the value 100 and B is given with the value 101. 101, let's say. So what are some numbers I have given? Now I wanted to check which one is big and based on that I wanted to print that particular number, which is big. For which, now see how I'm using, I'm about to use a if condition here. So if followed by what? You need to write the condition in the parenthesis. Sorry, in the, inside the parenthesis. So what is that? What is the condition I'm trying to say? If A is greater than B, then I want the statements that are available as part of the if condition. Okay, if block. So if A is greater than B, then print what? A is big. Print A is big. This is the statement I wanted to print on the console. Okay, else what? If A is not big, as we have two variables, if A is not big. Okay, if A is not big, and what is big? B is big. So if B is big, what I can do? Just simply I can say B is big. Understood, right? So this is how we generally can write the things. So what I'm doing here, now close this, close your main method and close your class. Okay. So this started here and this ended here. This started here, this ended here. And this one started here and it is ended here. And this one started here and it was ended here. Okay. So this is how generally the blocks are available. Now, what is it I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to take a program. A is greater than B or not. So can anyone tell me if I say A is greater than B? By looking at the values that are there in A and B, can you tell me whether A is greater than B or not? Is it a true condition or it is a false condition? False condition. A is greater than B. Is it true or is it false? What is going to give you as a output? Anyone? A is greater than B.
True.
Is it true? A is greater than B. A is having a value 100,
It's
whereas B is
false
having a
condition.
yeah,
False. 101, right?
yeah, it's false. Because A is not greater than B. A is only 100, B is 101. So 100 is not greater than 101. Right. Now, as this is false, can anyone guess the output? Can anyone guess the output? What will be printed inside the console?
B is bigger.
Right. So B is big. Now, what happened to this statement here? What happened to this statement? It is not executed. Okay. So the default behavior of Java program is what? Execute from top to bottom, line by line in a sequence order. This is the default order. But what I'm able to do here, I'm able to put a condition. Based on that, I'm making sure that the statements that are there in that condition gets executed. Now, as this condition failed here, the statements what we have in this block are not going to get executed. So in the case of failure, what it will go, it goes into the else block. Okay, and it prints whatever there inside the else block. Now, let's say if this condition is true, if this condition is true, and if it is goes inside this, it will only print this and it will not choose this. It is not going to execute this. So condition is true, this will get executed. When condition is false, this is going to get executed. Understood? Now let's try this program and let's see whether we are able to see that the output is correct or not. Okay, so let me write this program. So what shall we do? Let me go to our notepad. Okay, take an editor. So this is the editor I'm trying to take. I'm taking Sublime. I'm creating a new file and I'm naming that as if demo. Okay, that is the class name. And what is required? You need a public static void main method, which has to accept string array as an argument. Okay. Now what I want to do here, firstly, I want to declare two variables and I want to give a value as 100. I want to declare one more variable B and I wanted to give a value to it as 101. And after this, what I want to do, I want to write a condition and based on that, I want to decide whether the statement has to be executed or not. If A is greater than B, then I want you to if A is greater than, if A is big, then I want what? I want this statement to be executed. So A is big. Else, otherwise, so if not A is big, then what I should do? I should be able to say that B is big. Okay, so now we have written that correctly. So there are no, right, there are no errors. All right, let me save this program saying if demo. Let me save this program. Let me create a folder here. I'm just creating the folder so that I can store this file inside that. Just a moment. Let me save this if demo program inside this folder. Now, what I should do? I need to open the terminal and I need to go to the location. So we are inside the day 12 folder. So what I want to do today, day 12 is available. So day 11, we are inside the day 11. Now I wanted to move to where? Day 12. Okay. So where do you have day 12? This one. So where do you have day 12? So it is, we are inside this. So here we don't have day 12, right? So where it is there? It is there one step backward. Now what I should do in this? I just need to go back. I need to just go back. Sorry, CD // So it will take you to, okay, my caps is on. CD// two dots. So it will take you one folder backward. Okay, CD, when you use two dots, it will take you one folder backward. So as we are here, okay, from here, I wanted to go forward. So it is nothing but this folder, batch one folder. So here is what I wanted to do. That's the reason. What is that I did? What is that I did here? I just set CD // so that I went to batch one. Now again, I will use the same change directory. And what I will do, I wanted to go to day 12. Okay. So now I'm able to enter day 12. Now let me compile the program. There is a program which is already saved. So to compile, I need to use Java C followed by the class name. Okay. Now let me click on enter. If everything is fine, it executes. Okay, it is executed. Now let's execute the class. Okay. So it says if demo. Okay, so I'm giving the demo class to JVM and I'm asking you to execute it. So what is the output we have expected? B is big. Yeah, which means that whatever the expectation of our output, we are able to experience the same. Okay, so this is how generally if and else condition works. Okay, now there are certain rules which we have to follow in working with if else condition. So we need to follow certain rules in using this if else conditions. Okay. So what are the rules? Let's discuss about it. Let's discuss about the rules that we need to follow while using if else conditions. Just a minute. Give me a minute, guys. Okay. So there are certain rules that we need to follow in using these if conditions. So what are the rules? Okay. So we can execute. Okay, we can execute either if block or else block. Okay, we can execute either if block or else block, but we cannot what? We cannot execute both. Okay, we cannot execute both the blocks. Okay, both the blocks. Only one can get executed. You cannot execute both the blocks at the same time. Okay. If block is executed, then else block will not get executed. If else is executed, then if will not execute. Okay. And what is the second condition? What is the second rule? We can skip either if block or else block, but we never skip both the blocks at a time. What we can do? We can skip either if block or else block. But we never skip both the blocks at a time. Okay. So this is what, remember these things. Now, thirdly, so for if statement, writing else block is optional. What is optional? Now, if you have a if statement, to that if statement, we are writing what? We are writing else block, right? So what is else? Else is followed with if. So now writing else is mandatory to if or it is not mandatory? No, it is not mandatory. It is optional. What is it? For if statement. Okay. For if statement, writing else block. Writing else block is optional. Okay. But we cannot write else block directly without if statement. But what? But we cannot write else statement. We cannot write else statement without if statement. Remember this. So else is optional. But if you wanted to write else, definitely there should be a if statement. Without if statement, you cannot write else. But you can write a if statement without a else statement. That is the third rule. So what is the fourth rule? So in if statement, writing condition or expression is mandatory, which must be Boolean type. What is it? In the if statement, we are writing a condition, right? We are writing a condition, or we can write an expression which will evaluates to what? A Boolean value. Okay, you write a condition or you write an expression. So that is what? Giving a condition to if should be what? Should be mandatory. And it should be always returning what? A Boolean type. Understood? In if statement, in what? In if statement, writing condition. Okay, which means that this one. So if you look at this condition, what we have written here, you're able to see here, right? This condition, we call it as expression or condition. Writing this is what is mandatory. Okay, so writing condition or expression. Mandatory. Okay. So, and this condition or expression, what you have written, which must what? Which must be Boolean type. Okay. So it should be always evaluating to a Boolean type, not any other type. Remember this. Now let's take some examples and let's see what is this actually. So I have int a is equal to 10 and int b is equal to 2. Now I'm writing if greater than b. Okay. Now with these four rules, can you tell me whether this is a correct statement or it is not correct statement? With whatever the rules that we have discussed till now, can anyone tell me whether this statement here is a correct statement or it is not a correct statement?
True statement.
Sorry, what is it? I couldn't hear you properly. This is correct statement or it is not a correct statement? So now till now we have discussed some rules, right? Let's quickly recall this rules. We can execute either if block or else block, but we cannot execute both the blocks at a time. This is one rule, right? We can skip either if block or else block, but we never skip both the blocks at a time. Okay. Now if statement. For if statement, writing else block is what? Optional, but we cannot write else statement without if statement. That is third rule. And in if statement, writing condition or expression is mandatory and which must be a Boolean type. Based on these four rules, now look at this and tell me whether what I have written now is a correct statement. Are we able to follow the rules of if statement, writing if statement or not? Is it true? Is it a correct statement or it is not a correct statement? Okay, let's look by rule by rule. What is the first rule? We can execute either if block or else block, but we cannot execute both the blocks at a time. Okay, I have if block. Okay, so if block is there, either if I can execute this or I cannot execute that. That is the first statement. Okay, according to the statement, it is correct only. We can skip either if block or else block, but we can never skip both the blocks at a time. Okay, according to that rule also, it is correct only, right? So now for if statement, writing else block is optional. So based on third rule, okay, it is also meeting it. Is it meeting? Third rule is meeting it. Yes. If statement writing else block is optional. Yeah. Now I haven't written else block because it is optional. But we can write else statement without. We cannot write else statement without if statement. So I'm not writing any else statement. So no problem with third rule. So what is the fourth rule? In if statement, writing condition or expression is mandatory. So am I able to write a condition here? Did I write a condition here? Yes, I have even written a condition, right? Can I say this as a condition? Is this a condition or not? Yes, it is a condition. So I have written a condition. Now, if this gets executed, so what always relational operators returns? Boolean types. Now, even as I written an expression here, so this expression is doing what? This condition is doing what? It is able to return you a Boolean type. So according to the fourth rule also, this is meeting. Now tell me, it has able to meet all the four points, four rules. Now tell me whether this statement is correct or not, whether these lines are correct or not. Able to follow? Able to follow, or is there a confusion to answer? Should I explain this again? Okay. So for now, I will only answer this. This is correct because as I told you, it is able to meet all the four rules. Okay. Now let me write one more thing. So I'm taking a Boolean variable, which is B, and I'm giving a value true here. So here you might be in the first one, you might have a confusion that, see, this condition is returning, see, this condition is giving you true only, right? Even the condition is also true. So there is no confusion here, right? Saying that this is not a right statement. There is no confusion even. Now let's look at this and let's try to understand this. So I have written a variable, which is what? Boolean B, and I have given a value to it as true. So I am saying B here. I'm passing B here. Okay, what is B? A Boolean type only. So now I'm using this as a condition because overall, this conditional value is a Boolean type, and I have true here. Okay, and I have this whatever is there that has to be executed. I'm not writing any statements here. So if there is a if, I have passed a Boolean type to it, and I have this block. So can you tell me whether this code is correct or not? Based on these four rules, can you tell me whether this is correct or not? Yes, even this is correct. Okay, now see this. Let me go for the fourth one. I have a if, I'm not writing any condition. If I'm not writing any condition, can you tell me whether this is correct or not? Let us answer this. This is correct or this is not correct? Just read the fourth.
Not correct.
Yes. If you can read the fourth rule, you'll be able to tell that. So it is asking that condition is mandatory. Condition is what? Here, condition or expression is mandatory. As condition is mandatory, that's the reason. Here I haven't given any condition. That's the reason it is not correct. Now let me go for the fourth one. So I'm giving directly true now. I'm giving directly true now. I'm not declaring any variable. Previously here, I have declared a variable. Okay, I haven't declared any variable. Just I'm saying if, and I'm writing my condition here, and I have my block here. So now, whether this statement is correct or not? Can anyone tell whether this is correct or not? So do we have if statement here? Yes, we have. So we have else statement No, we don't have. So even else statement is not there also. It is optional. So we don't have a problem. And what else we have? What else we have? We need a condition, and that condition should be a Boolean type. So we have a condition here. Yes, because to the last, the condition is as to evaluate to what? A Boolean type. So I'm directly not writing the condition, but this is acting as what? The result of the condition. So I'm directly giving the Boolean type here. So is it correct or not? Yes, this is also correct. Okay, now tell me this. Try this one, everyone. So I have a Boolean x is equal to true. Okay, now I'm saying if x is equal to true. If x is equal to true. Can anyone tell me this is correct or not? Is this a condition or if you remember our all the operators, the second operator which we have discussed. So is this a condition that will get evaluated to true, or is this an expression that will get evaluated true, or this is something else? Can we call this as a condition, or can we call this as an expression, or what can we call this? What is this? I have a variable, and I'm passing a value to it. Okay, and I have a equal to operator here. So what happens to when we have something like this? Do people remember the assignment operator? If people are able to, remember the assignment operator, how assignment operator works? How assignment operator works? Nothing but on the right side, you will have a value. That value will be stored inside the left side, which is there toward beside to the equal to. Okay, so equal to operator. So we have a equal to operator, right? So when we have a equal to operator, what happens? It takes this value and it is going to store inside the variable. This is generally basically what happens. Now, based on this, here what is happening? We are trying to do an assignment operator, or we have written a condition here. We are trying to perform a variable assignment here. What we are trying to do here, we are trying to do a variable assignment here. We are not trying to write a condition here. What is that we are doing? We are trying to assign a value, okay, but we are not trying to give an expression or a condition, which means that this is not correct. This is wrong, or it is correct only. So based on the expression, you people understand what is expression, right? You people remember what is an expression? So can I treat this as an expression? So overallly, this value is getting assigned here, and this x is taking into picture. So x is what? True. It is carrying a Boolean value. Now, if is taking what? If is trying to check on the variable that is holding the value, it is true. That's the reason once this operation is done, this if will check for the x, what is the value it is having. It will come to know that it is true. So as the value is true here and it is a Boolean type, after executing this expression, still the value is true and it is a Boolean type. Okay, it is not having any issues with the rules, which means that this is correct actually. Okay, so this is also correct. Now take a careful look and try to understand this. Int a is equal to 10, and I'm saying if a, and I'm writing like this. So can anyone tell me whether this is correct or not? You should be in a position to tell me whether this is correct or not. So I have if, I have parenthesis, I have a block, but the value that I have passed here, is it an expression that evaluates to true, or it is a what it is? It is a condition that evaluates to true, or it is an expression that evaluates to true? No, right? What it is? It is an integer type. So what is the fourth rule? You can pass a conditional expression which is mandatory and which must be what? A Boolean type. Now here a we have a here, right? A is Boolean type or it is not a Boolean type? A is not a Boolean type. Then can you give a as a condition here? No, you cannot give. If you do this, it is going to be a error. Okay. Now let's see one more. Okay. Now I have an int whose value is 10, and if I'm saying a is equal to 10, I'm doing the assignment here. So at least by 6th, whatever we have discussed on 6th, based on this, now you should be in a position to tell me 7th one. Is this correct or not? Take a look at 5th point, 6th point, and tell me 7th point. Is this a correct statement or it is not a correct statement? Anyone? We have came across so many examples. By now, you should be in a position to understand this and you should be in a position to answer this. Okay, if you're still not able to answer it, it's okay. But try. Anyone, can you try? Because we have everything here itself. In front of us only, we have everything. Is this a true? Is this a true or a is this statement is going to execute or it is going to throw any error or an exception? What happens? Your compiler will be able to check for those rules and whether it will say it is a correct statement or it is a wrong statement. It is wrong. Reason. So you are trying to do the same thing here. What are you doing here in here? You are also doing the same thing. But what is 10 here? 10 is a integer type. It is not a Boolean type. So now A is able to store the value 10 inside it. And if expects what? A to be a Boolean value. But A is what? A is not a Boolean. A is a integer type. Now you can pass only what? Boolean types. Expression that evaluates to Boolean type. Now this is not evaluating to Boolean type. What is happening here? It is actually carrying a numerical value, which is int actually, which means that this is wrong. Okay. Now look at the 8th one. So I have integer a is equal to 10. Okay. So let me say otherwise. Let me directly write one more. Let me write this. So Boolean, okay, x is equal to true. I'm saying Boolean x is equal to true, and I'm saying if x equal to true. So is this a correct statement? So what is this operator? What is the operator I'm using here? What is this operator is called? Anyone is able to remember? And it comes under which relation? Which operator? Which operator it will come under?
Relational operator.
So it is a relational operator. So what we are trying to do here, we are trying to check the equality between x and a Boolean value, a Boolean literal. So can anyone tell me whether this is going to, whether this statement is correct or not? I have taken x value as true and I'm trying to compare that value with a Boolean value, Boolean literal true. Is this a right way of writing the if condition or not? Yes, it is, because equal to operator is what? A relational operator. So this relational operator will do what? It will check for the, it will check the relation and it's going to return a Boolean type only. So that's the reason this is true here. Okay, this statement is what? This statement will get executed. There will be no issues in executing this statement. Okay, now if I say if of 1, if of 1, and I said else. So can anyone tell me whether this statement is correct or not? Means whether the lines that I have written whether they will be compiled or they will be not compiled. We have covered so many till now. This is correct or this is not correct. This code will get executed or it will not get executed.
Not correct.
Yeah, it will not get executed because the conditional value what you have given is integer type. Not what? It's not a Boolean. It is an integer. That's the reason it is not going to execute. Your compiler is going to throw a error saying that this is not following the rules of if else. Okay, it is not following the rules of if else statement. So this part is not going to be executed. It is going to be it is going to ask us to correct the statement. Okay. Now lastly, look at this. Okay, I'm taking a is equal to 10. Okay, I'm saying if a equal to 10. Okay, now is this a correct statement or not? Is this a correct statement?
Correct statement.
Right, because you are using a equal to operator and it is checking the values. Yeah, a is having 10 and this is having 10. So after checking the equality, it will be able to tell if they are equal, then it might have given you true. If it is false, if they are not comparable, and then it would have said it is false. Here, what it is doing, it is checking their comparison, right? Which is nothing but which is a relational operator. It returns what? A Boolean value, which means that this is right. Okay. So were you able to follow all these things, all these rules? So there are totally 4 rules. Okay. If you're still not able to understand, read these lines after the class and try to see these examples and come to a conclusion. After that, still, if you have any issues, please let me know. I'll try to take some more examples and I'll try to explain you again. Okay. But come back because these are very important. Okay, from now everything is very important. So till date everything is important, sir, important only. But these are going to play a major role. You will be using these statements a lot in your coding. Okay, because when you write a program, the programs are always not going to be executed defaultly. We always control them. As we are going to control them based on our requirements, these statements are going to be used a lot in the programming. That's the reason. If you are not able to follow and if you are still not able to understand, okay, after the class, just go through the points and look at the examples. And if it is still not giving a clarity, come back and ask me. I'll be trying to explain some more examples and make sure that it is understand to you. It is understandable to you. Okay. Now we have some more rules. Apart from this, I have some more rules. What is it? So the 5th rule is, if we write more than one statement, okay, writing boundaries are required. Okay. Otherwise, if we write one statement, then writing boundaries are optional. Understood? If we write more than one statement, so either inside the if block or inside the else block, if you're trying to write more than one statement, okay, then writing boundaries meant what? Block. Okay, boundaries are nothing but this one. So what I said, this is a block, open flower bracket and close flower bracket. We call it as a boundaries. Okay. So if we write more than one statement, writing boundaries, okay, are required. Writing boundaries are required. Otherwise, if we write one statement, otherwise, if you write one statement, then writing boundaries. Boundaries are nothing but what? Those flower brackets are optional. Okay, it's optional or optional. Understood? This is the 3rd rule. Now let's say for this, if I have to take an example, I have if A is greater than, otherwise I would say if 10 is greater than 20. Okay, I'm writing what here? Statement 1. That's it. Okay, I have written only one statement. Now, when you have inside the if only one statement, okay, this is one statement. Okay, this is one statement. Now, as I've written only one statement, at this time, writing these things are not required. They are optional. Means this can also be written like this, 10 greater than 20. Directly without those boundaries, you can write that particular one statement. Okay, so you can write like this. You don't need to mention these boundaries. Understood? That is the 5th rule. Okay, now when it is mandatory, when those boundaries are mandatory, if I have 10 greater than 20 and I have so many statements. So this is statement 1 and this is statement 2. Like this, I have so many statements. So if you have so many statements, at that time, mentioning the boundaries is mandatory or it is optional? It is mandatory. Now, if you don't put these two, okay, this code, what happens? This code rises errors. Okay, so this code will not get executed. This code has to be corrected. Okay, so now this is what the 5th rule is talking about. If you have only one statement, using boundaries is optional. If you have more than one statement, then mentioning the boundaries is mandatory. What is 6th rule now? So if you don't want to write boundaries, then we can write only one statement. Okay, writing single statement is mandatory again here. Okay, now what is sixth rule? If we don't write boundaries, if we don't write boundaries, boundaries are nothing but this, right? Then what? Then these all things falls under this. Then we can write only one statement. We can write only one statement. And what is next? Writing this single statement is now mandatory here. Now, in this case, I have written 10 is equal to 20, and I don't want to mention boundaries, right? So I'm not mentioning, and I'm also not writing any statements here. I'm not writing any statements here. So whether that is correct or not? No, it is not correct. If you are not going to use boundaries, then writing, okay, at least one writing that one statement is mandatory. Okay, so writing this single statement, writing the single statement is mandatory. When writing the single statement is mandatory, when you have if without boundaries. Okay. Now what else? So this single statement must not be any declarative statement. What is it? The single statement. Now when you are writing the single statement, that must not be what? That must not be any declarative statement. Okay, understood? It shouldn't be any declarative statement. Like what I mean by declarative statement, let's see some examples here. Okay, let's see some examples for that. So whatever the single, okay, whatever the, what is this? Yeah. So whatever the single statement. So I have a single statement. Whatever the single statement that must not be any declarative statement. Okay, now talking about this, let's take some examples. Let's take some examples according to this particular line. So what is it? I have int a is equal to 10. There is one variable. So what is this basically we are trying to do here? We are creating a variable, right? We are creating a variable here. Am I correct? So what is the creation of variable? What will be there in the creation of a variable? We have variable declaration, which is this. This is a data type. And this is what? Variable name. This is what? This is a variable name. Okay, so what we are trying to do here, we are trying to create a variable. It is nothing but declaring it and passing a value to it. Then we say it as creating a variable. Now, let me say I have int a is equal to 10 and int b is equal to 2. Okay, now if I say if a greater than b, if a is greater than b. So now look at the sixth point. If you don't write boundaries, then you can write only one statement. Okay, so now here I have boundaries. What is it? There are boundaries here. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do here, what is the third line? What is the third line is talking about? The single statement must not be any declarative statement. Now here, this one is a declarative statement or not? So we can say what is declaration? This part we call it as declaration. Just only mentioning the data type and variable, it is called as declaration. Now here, I have written the condition, everything, but what is it that is missing here? Is anything missing here? No, right? So it is not what? According to third statement, this line statement must not be any declarative statement. So this is not a declarative statement. This statement is going to return a Boolean type. Then how this will be wrong? No, right? This is going to be right. Now let me write one more. Okay. So let me write one more. So what is it? I have let's say int a is equal to 10. Int a is equal to 10. Just a minute, I'll complete these examples and we'll close the session so that our if statement will be completed so that we can jump to switch case tomorrow. Okay, let me complete this example so that you will get a chance to practice this. Okay, so just give me I'll take a couple of examples and I'll explain you. So int a is equal to what? Int a is equal to 10, and I'm saying I'm taking one more variable, int b is equal to 2. Now I'm trying to write if a is greater than b, and I'm writing system.out.println. Okay, so I'm saying addition, okay, equal to plus of a plus b. So is this correct or not? Is this statement is correct? According to the sixth statement, the single statement must not be any declarative statement. So am I writing any declarative statement here, or it is a valid statement, valid condition here? And I have only one statement. Then having the boundaries is mandatory here or not mandatory? No, right? No need to have boundaries to this. No need to have the blocks here. So, and this condition is also what? It's appropriate condition. This condition is going to result to a Boolean type. If that is the case, means this should be true here. Now, I'll write one more here. See this. Int a is equal to 10, and I have one more variable b is equal to 2. Now, I'm saying if a is greater than b, okay, and I'm saying int x is equal to 10. So now look at the third one. The single statement must not be any declarative statement. Is this statement falls under as a declarative statement or not? So this statement falls as a declarative statement or not? Is this a declarative statement? Yes, it is. What you're doing, you're declaring a variable called x, and you're trying to store a value 10. So it falls under declarative statement only. So that is what third point is talking about. If you have a single statement, and that statement should not be what? A declarative statement. Based on that, this is wrong. Understood? Now look at this. If let me say int a is equal to 10, and let me say this is 4. B is equal to 2. And I'm saying if a greater than b. Okay. Now I don't want to take boundaries, and I don't want to have statements. So is this correct or not? Is this correct? I have a if without boundaries and without statements. So for if you are not having boundaries, and if you're not writing any statements, is it a valid one or it's not a valid one? Look at these points. You can write only one statement. Writing this single statement is mandatory. Okay. If you look at the second point here, according to that, so did I have written a condition, but do you have single statement here anywhere? Do you have any single statement here? I don't have any single statement here. Okay, I'm just having what? I'm having a if with the condition. So what happens to this now? This is going to be wrong. Understood? What is wrong and what is correct? How it is wrong and how it is correct? If people are able to follow? Okay, so let me stop here with these examples. Okay, now let me know whether you have any questions on this.
Subscribe for more videos and hit the bell icon for notification of videos.